So the recent release of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 and Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania a few months ago, there are now quite a few trilogies in the MCU with certain characters. Obviously, Thor has 4 films, but in today's video, I'm going to be doing ranking MCU trilogies, and with the Thor one, I'm going to be just doing his 3 films. So it's just going to be Thor, Thor the Dark World, and obviously Thor Ragnarok. I won't include Love and Thunder, which probably shouldn't be included anyway. But yeah, I'm going to be ranking, the trilogies today, the main ones that we know and love from the start of the MCU to now. And there are quite a few good ones in here that I'm going to be ranking, obviously. So if you do enjoy today's video, please like and subscribe. And yes, let's get straight into the video. So obviously, we're going to be starting off with Iron Man. And personally, I thought Iron Man was, a good start to the MCU. It kicked the MCU off with it was a good start, and I really enjoyed Iron Man 1. Iron Man 2, I didn't really enjoy. I didn't think it was that great. But Iron Man 3, I thought was really good. I thought, it redeemed itself after, the first Avengers film, obviously with Iron Man 2, which obviously released happens in the MCU after the first Iron Man in the timeline. But yeah, I think Iron Man 2 wasn't the greatest, but I think, the first Iron Man kicked off the MCU really well, I thought. I thought it was a really good start. And Iron Man 3 was, it wasn't the best, but it wasn't, real bad either. I thought it was, perfect for the MCU, for Iron Man as a character as well moving forward after Avengers, the first Avengers movie, and then going on to, obviously, Age of Ultron after that. So Iron Man, I think I'm going to put him in 4th. Now, this tier maker is a bit, different from other ones that you might see on YouTube, because obviously 1 would usually be the best one, but 1 is actually going to be the worst in this, and then 6 is obviously going to be the best. So yeah, Iron Man, I guess, is in the middle or up just above the middle. For me personally, I thought the Iron Man trilogy was, it was decent, I guess. Iron Man 2 brings it down a bit. I think if Iron Man 2 was good, it may have been in 5. But just for Iron Man 2, and Iron Man 3 wasn't the best, but it was still decent. Iron Man 1 was the real standout for that trilogy, and I'd put that in 4th. Now the next one is Spider-Man. Now, obviously, everyone loves Spider-Man. Everyone loves his trilogy. Everyone loves him as a character. No Way Home was perfect. It was a perfect movie. Everyone loves No Way Home. We got to see Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire Spider-Man in the MCU finally, linking up with Tom Holland's Spider-Man, which was great. And people say it was the cameos that saved that film, and the cameos were the main standout of that film, let's be honest. But overall, I think the story was really good. There was quite a few emotional scenes in that movie as well. The action was great, and the villains as well. I know they're from different universes as well, and we got to finally see the return of them in the MCU, and finally seeing them in the MCU and not in Tobey Maguire's universe or Andrew Garfield's Sonyverse. But either way, I think it was still pretty cool. The villains were great. Green Goblin was amazing. Willem Dafoe was amazing as the Green Goblin, of course. We didn't expect any less from him. Spider-Man No Way Home is arguably one of the best MCU films there is to a lot of fans. Far From Home, probably the worst out of the 3, but it's still a very good movie, especially after Endgame. It was the first movie we got after Endgame. And I thought Far From Home was still pretty decent for it being the worst one out of the 3. Homecoming was a great, start for Tom Holland's trilogy, and it was a great start for his character as well. We got to see him grow from, the kid he was, and, Tony Stark's he was like the student to Tony Stark, and Tony Stark the mentor to him, and we saw that develop throughout Infinity War and Endgame, and then obviously we finally saw in Far From Home and No Way Home his build up to the character he is, and now we get to see it restart, I guess, from the beginning after No Way Home with Spider-Man 4, which I cannot wait for. And I think his character development throughout the 3 films has been great. The story development as well. The character build up, not only for Spider-Man, but MJ and Ned and all the characters that surround him as well. The villains were great, not only the ones from No Way Home, but Vulture was good. I thought Mysterio was a really good villain. I was hoping to see a bit more of him in No Way Home, but obviously we didn't. But yeah, I thought it was great. It's not just No Way Home that stands out in that trilogy. It's the previous films before that as well. And I'd give Spider-Man a 6. Obviously everyone loves Spider-Man, and he's got to go in the top category for me. Now, next one is probably is my favourite out of all the trilogies in the MCU, and, the best movies in all of, every single movie in this trilogy and this franchise of Guardians of the Galaxy. Now, every film I love, Guardians of the Galaxy 1 really, back in 2014 was an amazing film. It was great. I remember that day I watched that in cinemas and I thought it was amazing. Volume 2, I know Volume 2 gets a lot of hate from fans, which I don't understand why, because I thought Volume 2 was a really good movie and it was a really good sequel to the first one. The Ego as a villain, it's just great. The character development of all of them together in that movie and in the first movie as well was amazing. We got to see that in Volume 3 as well, perfectly done. It was amazing. James Gunn, never fails to deliver perfect films. Volume 3 was great. It was such a good film. I've seen it twice in cinemas, and I'd go see it over and over again because it is such a good film in the MCU. It's definitely probably my second favourite MCU film of all time. It was so emotional, and we got to see the Guardians as a family. We've seen that throughout the MCU over the years, but this film truly felt like them as a family together. The second film was more about Star-Lord, and the third film was more about Rocket, and the first was more about all of them together, their introduction, and I really like that with James Gunn. And we get to see the link with that, Star-Lord calling Rocket his best friend, and we get to see the links between the two, starting off from not being the greatest of friends to being the best of friends at the end, and they're all a family. They at the start they weren't connected to each other really at all. They all had their differences with each other, and now in the MCU we see that they are a big family. And there was so much in Volume 3 that was so good about the film, with Groot and Rocket, and his backstory was amazingly done. Props to James Gunn. He just knows everything. And it's sad that he's going to be leaving the MCU. There won't be any more Guardians films with him. But at the end of the day, it was a way. We knew it was coming. He wasn't going to stay, especially what's happened in the past with him and Marvel. But yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy is an amazing and perfectly done trilogy, and I don't think they need to touch on it anymore. Obviously, if they do another Guardians team, it won't really link because it's not the original Guardians anyway. It's just going to have Groot and Rocket and a few other characters part of that team and that lineup. But yeah, overall, Guardians of the Galaxy is amazing, and you obviously know where this is going to go. It's going to go top at 6. For me, it was above Spider-Man by a lot. It topped Spider-Man by a lot. And Guardians of the Galaxy, what can I say more? It's just an amazing trilogy. And I can't wait to see what they do with these characters now. At the end we saw Star-Lord will return, so I wonder where he'll return. Maybe he'll be an Avenger now, part of the new Avengers team. But we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, overall, the Guardians of the Galaxy is just perfectly done. And I honestly can't think of something wrong with that trilogy and that franchise. If you ask me now, I don't have anything wrong with it at all. There's nothing. Volume 2, I know it gets a lot of hate, but I don't see where the hate comes from. I think it's a great movie. Personally, I prefer it over the first one. Obviously, the first one is great, but I prefer the second one and the first one. Obviously, Volume 3 tops both of them. But yeah, that's why the franchise, it tops every other trilogy for me. Next we have Captain America. Now Captain America is my second favourite out of all of these, behind Guardians of the Galaxy, and then it would probably go Spider-Man, Spider-Man franchise, and then I probably wouldn't know, I'd do my ranking of my top to bottom of these, like at the end, obviously, when I've ranked them all. But yeah, now we've got Captain America, and I thought the 3 Captain America movies were great. It started off with the first Avenger, introducing us to Captain America and Steve Rogers. He had a great development in that movie, and it was nice to see, his character grow throughout that movie. And I think it was, really cool touching on him in World War II and all that stuff that we got to see. And yeah, going into Winter Soldier, which is arguably one of the best MCU movies of all time as well, top 5 easily for me as well, along with Civil War, which is easily top 5 for me as well. I think Civil War is great. Civil War and Winter Soldier was 2 perfect movies. Winter Soldier, we got to see the return of Bucky as the Winter Soldier, and I thought that was great to see. We got to see his dynamic between the two, and then obviously we see that grow with Steve Rogers throughout the MCU in Infinity War and obviously in Endgame, and we got to see, the friendship between the two. We got to see it in the first Avenger, but we didn't see it as much. And then we gradually got to see it more throughout the MCU, which was really nice to see. And Civil War, some people consider it more of an Avengers movie, which it sort of is. I would consider it more of an Avengers movie than a Captain America movie, because it more focuses on the main Avengers than it does on Captain America. But either way, it's such a good movie, and I think there isn't anything much wrong with that movie, and it probably brings the trilogy up a lot, with Winter Soldier as well. The first Avenger was still good, don't get me wrong, but the 2 after that were perfectly and amazingly well done. And I can't wait for a New World Order, which probably, well, won't have Chris Evans Captain America in it, but I'm happy to see Sam Wilson Captain America. I can't wait to see. I'm excited. And yeah, I'd probably put this in 6. Yeah, I'll put this in 6 because I prefer it over Spider-Man. And yeah, I think Captain America, the movies were well done. It was good for his character. Everyone loves Captain America in the MCU, and you know his development throughout the MCU was great to see his character grow, and I can't wait to see him return maybe in Secret Wars. It will most likely be Secret Wars, which Chris Evans has said he will make a return if it feels right, and I think it feels right for him to come back in Secret Wars. But yeah, this is why Captain America goes 6, because you know all of the movies were amazing, well done. You know the action scenes in those were amazing. You know there was there was comedy as well, which everyone loves a little bit, hints of comedy throughout Captain America films. You know, there was emotional scenes and like the Civil War, the backstory of it. You know, the whole plot of it is just so good and well done. Between him and Iron Man, I really love that franchise, or not franchise, the trilogy of Captain America. Now, two very controversial ones we have: Ant-Man and Thor, the final ones. These ones aren't very well, you know, recepted, I guess, amongst the MCU fans. I think Ant-Man, which I'm going to rank now, it is okay. It's decent. You know, Ant-Man 1 was a good film. Don't get me wrong. Ant-Man was the first Ant-Man was great. Oh, well, not great, but it was good. It was good for the start of Ant-Man after we saw, obviously, then we see him in Civil War, which he was good in Civil War, and he was good in, you know, Endgame as well. But, you know, his movie after that with Ant-Man and the Wasp before Infinity War, well, no, before Endgame, it was a movie that wasn't the best, let's be honest. Ant-Man and the Wasp was not the best. What isn't considered one of a good movie amongst the Infinity Saga. And it's not a movie that I could rewatch over and over again compared to other MCU trilogy films in this tier list, the ranking. But don't get me wrong, Ant-Man is, you know, he's a cool character. I really like him. Quantumania was good. It wasn't the best, okay, but Quantumania was still good for what it was. You know, it's more of like the beginning of, you know, the multiverse saga and Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars. But at the end of the day, as a single movie itself, I did enjoy it. I know a lot of fans didn't enjoy it, but personally, I did enjoy that film. I thought Kang was absolutely amazing. Jonathan Majors as Kang was amazing. The action scenes in that film as well was great. And, you know, to see the quantum realm finally in itself, not just, you know, what we saw in the Ant-Man and the Wasp, and obviously Ant-Man, and you know where the others we've seen the quantum realm. We actually got to dive into it deeper, and it was really cool to see. I hope we see more of it, because it's very intriguing of what the quantum realm actually is, and there's so many endless possibilities of what we could see in the quantum realm as well, especially linking to the Fantastic Four. I think it's really cool. You know, Quantumania was a good movie. Ant-Man and the Wasp wasn't great, let's be honest, and Ant-Man 1 was decent. So overall, the Ant-Man film, the 3 films in the Ant-Man trilogy aren't, you know, they don't blow us away. Even Quantumania itself didn't really blow me away. I mean, like I said, I enjoyed the film. I don't hate it. I did enjoy it, but it didn't blow me away. You know, the scenes with Kang did. You know, Kang was great in that film, but overall, there wasn't something that really blew me away with that movie, which is probably why I put Ant-Man in third. I just don't enjoy. You know, I enjoy some of the films, but at the end of the day, when you have Ant-Man and the Wasp as a single movie, and it didn't blow us away at all, and it wasn't a movie that was really exciting in any way. Ant-Man 1, like I said, was decent, but, you know, and then Ant-Man Quantumania was good, but it didn't blow us away. And you have 3 movies there that aren't really blowing anyone away, like the movies in Guardians of the Galaxy. There was 3 movies there that blew the fans away. There was 2 movies in Captain America that blew the fans away. You have Spider-Man No Way Home, which absolutely blew fans away, with obviously Volume 3 as well in Guardians of the Galaxy. You have Spider-Man Homecoming, which blew fans away, and then, you know, there isn't really a movie in Ant-Man that really, you know, fully excites people when watching it now. You know, before they come out of cinemas, you know, Quantumania was an exciting movie, but now when you look at it, there aren't any, like, really exciting movies to look back on. But overall, it's a decent trilogy for Ant-Man, don't get me wrong, because he is a cool character, and I don't hate the trilogy, but at the end of the day, it doesn't blow me away like the other trilogies do. Now, finally, we have Thor. Now, personally, for me, I didn't enjoy the first 2 Thors, and, well, the first Thor, it was okay. It wasn't bad compared to Love and Thunder. Obviously, Love and Thunder won't be in this tier list because obviously it isn't part of the trilogy, the 3 films. But I can say for Thor: The Dark World, I didn't enjoy at all. I really don't enjoy Thor: The Dark World. I don't like that film. I know some fans do, but I know a lot of fans don't really enjoy it either. It's just a movie that there's nothing in it that really excites me. You know, Loki dying again at the end of the film, which is, you know, sort of what we were expecting anyway, or something to do with Loki was going to happen. There wasn't much to do with Jane Foster until, you know, we got to see her in Love and Thunder, which I thought something was going to happen with her in Thor: The Dark World, but other than that, the Reality Stone getting put inside her was really the main thing of that movie. You know, the villain was very boring and dull. There wasn't much to the Dark Elves throughout that whole movie. There wasn't much to it, and it wasn't, you know, menacing or anything like that. But Thor Ragnarok is an amazing movie, don't get me wrong. I love Thor Ragnarok, and it is the best Thor film out of all 4. Out of all 4 of the Thor films. But at the end of the day, that is the only one out of those 4 Thor films that really excite me and get me, like, a movie that I can watch over and over again is probably Ragnarok. And it is definitely it's a top MCU movie, of course. Every MCU fan loves Ragnarok. It was so well done, which is why a lot of fans were disappointed with Love and Thunder, because going from Ragnarok to Love and Thunder, what we got with Love and Thunder, it just wasn't the best, and it's not something that we were expecting from, especially Taika Waititi as well, from what he did with Ragnarok. We were expecting a lot more from Love and Thunder. So for me, Thor probably goes in 1 or 2. It probably gets in 2, but that's just because of Thor Ragnarok. If Thor Ragnarok wasn't good, I'd probably have to put the Thor franchise, or the Thor trilogy in 1, because personally for me, it didn't. The Thor films don't excite me, and it's definitely not. You know, I love the character, don't get me wrong. Infinity War, he was great in. Endgame, he was great in. Well, Endgame, he was sort of taken back a little bit from the 5 years during the blip. But, you know, he was great in Age of Ultron. All the Avengers films he was great in. But when it came to his own movies, he just wasn't the best character. I mean, he had some development in those movies, but I feel like more of his development came through the Avengers movies more than it did in his own movies, which is slightly disappointing. We got to see the better side of Thor in Ragnarok, like I said, but overall we didn't really get to see much from him. You know, in Endgame. But in his own movies, in Thor: The Dark World and in the first Thor, we didn't really get to see much development from him. I mean, we saw development in the first one as well, you know. It was an okay movie. We got to see him from being, I guess, a child to becoming who he was supposed to be. And we got to see that in Ragnarok as well, at the end with Odin as well. He finally became and felt who he was supposed to be, which I felt should have happened in Thor: The Dark World, which there wasn't really much development throughout that for Thor. But yeah, overall, that's why Thor's ranked pretty low. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video of me ranking the MCU trilogies we have so far. Tell me down below, and comment down below what you think of this tier list, and tell me what you guys, how you would rank your MCU trilogies down in the comments. I hope you had a good day, and I will see you in the next video.